Indiana originally, and just got to connect with Mr. Macklin and to help, be a part of the mentor. Can you hear me too well? How about now? A little bit better? So like I said, my name is Xavier Day. I'm out of Indiana, live in Georgia now, Locust Grove. And we're doing the next segment, which is on the money and business segment. So we got some great panelists here that are going to talk and give their insight and give some advice on some different aspects to help build, do some money in the community and the business side of it. So I'll give them all just a quick introduction. They can all just tell you a little bit about themselves, what they do, and then I'll get into a few questions to the panel to help them bring more information to the audience. Start this side.
First of all, my name is Roland Stevens. I want to say thank you for inviting me. This has been an honor and it's been on my mind for the last month. This has definitely been eye-opening since I've been here. Came in a little late, but I'm here, and I wouldn't go miss it for nothing. My business is commercial pressure washing, and I've been doing it for full-time about 4 years now. So I can consider myself a small business, yet successful. That's a space that we are in, but I'll talk to you more about it. But once again, my name is Roland Stevens.
Hey, good morning. My name is Kevin Lewis, and I currently serve on the Henry County Board of Commissioners as the District 5 Commissioner. I've been in, along with my commissioner duties, I've been in the airline and transportation industry for about 26 years now, through a number of roles. So well versed in not only the logistical side, which is the actual execution of airlines and some other things, but also on the procurement side. I used to represent my company when they built the international terminal over Hartsfield-Jackson. So I did that for a couple of years. So that was great insight that I was able to gain in how the procurement process works, especially on the government side, and how businesses are actually able to grow, especially black businesses are able to grow within the overall space. So just thankful to Mr. Macklin for inviting me. I appreciate it, and I look forward to a good panel.
My name is Charles Moon. I'm a financial empowerment leader for Truist, Vice President. I've been in this industry now for about 15, 16 years. Ultimately my role, and I tell people this all the time, I work for the company, but I'm not a company, right? We all have great, opportunities sometimes to work for good employers. And what I will tell you is that the company I work for just happened to have it right. They created an opportunity for me to be out in the community listening to what our community needs. And as a result of that, I've been able to make some really, really good connections. So I will tell you everything that I get is not always Truist approved, but the reality is that I've been a small business owner since I was 16 years old. And so a lot of the information that I picked up on, a lot of things that I learned, weren't just because somebody put it in the curriculum. A lot of it was tripping and stumbling over things. And you may have heard from my comment last time, and if you're putting the numbers together, yes, I had my son when I was 15, but I had my first business when I was 16. So there is some story behind just that 1 year, and I try to bring that to the community every single day. So thank you, Mr. Macklin. I think we started talking about it when it was just a thought, but I'm super excited to be here, super excited to see all of you in the room. Next time I want to make sure that it's standing room only, right? I want to give up some seats for some ladies because I think that that's a very powerful conversation to be having in our own community.
Okay. Hi, I'm Andrew L. Mallard, Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast. Change starts a conversation. You guys, I've been doing the publication, probably the first African-American media company in Henry County. And we've been serving the community for 10 years. I'm also a co-founder of Streets of Gentlemen, organization that mentors young men. We teach, we go into schools, do work with them. Now we bring them in our office teaching cybersecurity, how to do production, how to do journalism, how to film, edit, all that other good stuff. So that's where we're at now. Just proud to be able to serve the community and the things God has allowed me to do.
All right, for our panel. Okay, so just to get started, so we just have a few questions that we're going to talk to each panel separate. That I'm just going to ask them, and then they can kind of give us a brief answer. We don't have about an hour to kind of get through everything, so we'll just get some questions. So I know that people want to learn more about the business and different strategies and things they can do, since we're talking about economics and business, and to kind of help us in that area. So we'll start with Mr. Mallard down there at the end. We'll start with you down there. A couple questions for you, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you built your platform through television, print, podcasting, and nonprofit work. How have those platforms helped you create meaningful businesses, relationships, opportunities? How has that helped in those areas?
Man, so building a platform, man, a lot of people don't understand. When we started Streets of Gentlemen and Game Changers Media Network, man, I had just lost a business. Like, I was literally on the couch, sleep, and I was down to my last $2 probably, And we just had a vision, and we saw a need where we were doing things on. If you're familiar with Jazzy Brown, that Jazzy Brown Club, we used to host soul events, spoken word, and things like that. And the one thing, it was one black business in the community. It was called Sands. It was on the square, and the business owners would come up and they would want to tell their story. And when people on a Friday night, they drinking and they doing their thing, they don't want to hear about the business. But so we used to give them a chance to speak, and they took 10 minutes, and they would kill our show, However, we said we're going to start this publication so we can give a voice to African American business and African American leaders. And from there, that built a relationship with, so many people. I never would have thought we would last this long, 10 years, and still going.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. We appreciate that. Okay, so just keep going, moving on in that. How can business owners use that storytelling more effectively to attract customers, partners, and investors?
So business owners, we gotta understand the objective of lobbying. I don't know if you guys read Time magazine when they said make cannabis legal in America. Anybody read that publication when Time magazine put that out? Well, that publication made $60 million with 0 advertisers, right? And it was because they was lobbying a message to make cannabis and marijuana legal. And the people who own farms and the people who own like distilleries, they were saying, we're going to invest behind this message because we can change people's minds and we can inform people how people think about marijuana, then we can make a profit. With African American businesses, we advertise 3 times: when we open, when we close, and when we try to meet a need. You know what I mean? We try to meet a need that we know we can't really reach. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes down to it, we got to learn how to lobby behind the message. You understand what I'm saying? So we say we want to change our community, like we want to fight for men. Well, how many men are actually sewing into this thing or pushing this message that you see how all these men come together? You see what I'm saying? When we learn how to lobby, except for when we try to just get our own instant gratification for ourselves, we'll be a better community.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We appreciate that as well. Moving on that same train of thought, talking about partnerships, when you're deciding whether to collaborate with a business or organization or community leader, what qualities make someone stand out as a worthwhile partner?
Doing the work. If you're doing the work, me and Declan, we met each other. He just spoke right before, and the one thing that lit a fire with people like Declan is, man, he was just on fire for his cause. Even Hawkins Athletics, Neil worked with him before. They were passionate about doing the work. They were working in the community with the kids. He was working in the community telling his story. Organizations like the Rising Sun Foundation, they was doing the work, helping kids with book bags. So it's about really breaking cycles, building bridges, be the change you want to see, being the rule about which others are measured, and if you want to, don't want to be framed, stop the picture.
Yes, right. All right, we appreciate that for your answers as well. Okay, so now we're going to move down to Mr. Moon, Mr. Charles Moon. Questions for you now. In the financial inclusion and economic opportunity. As Vice President and Financial Inclusion Leader at Truist, What are some of your biggest financial barriers you see preventing individuals and small businesses from building wealth, and how can they overcome those?
So, I mean, realistically, I can come up with a list as long as mine, right? But I think all of that can be summed up into really two things. First thing is pride. A lot of times business owners assume that because I'm in this lane, there's not enough room for anybody else in this lane. So what that does is automatically set you up in a situation where you're in competition with folks that aren't in competition with you, right? Y'all got to understand where we come from. And I'll use this ecosystem right here. When the Chick-fil-A went through their renovation, what happened to McDonald's? Did they close the doors? No. Chick-fil-A doubled their business. But McDonald's stayed open, right? Yeah. Zaxby's renovated, right here. Do you think Zaxby's is worried about the chicken that Chick-fil-A is selling? No, because they're playing in their own lane, because the reality is that there are more than enough people buying chicken fingers that they can exist across the street from each other.
Correct.
But when you start thinking about businesses that exist in our neighborhoods, we assume that because I'm the landscaper coming in, that I gotta have this whole subdivision. Not realizing that if we came together, we can get a contract with Parks and Recreation, and now we're cutting everything in the county. All these empty spaces, all these open fields. And so a lot of times, because of their pride, they're assuming that I am the only person that deserves to play in this lane. We got to get our own way. The second thing that I would say is that people just don't know what they don't know. And so a lot of times there are things that people have an opportunity to tap into, and they're only relying on the knowledge that they have, as opposed to saying, hey, look, who do you know? Right? Because the reality is, if I want to go far, I go what? With others. But if I want to go fast, I can go by myself. So a lot of times you got to understand is that collaboration is the new form of currency.
Yes.
And the minute that you decide that you're not just going to go out there and instantly create competition and look for more collaboration, that's really how you make your business thrive. And that is the same for every business. The only difference is the scale in which they do it, right? The reason why my company exists is because they got 31,000 employees involved in their what? Income. What happens to your small business when you got more people involved in your income?
It grows.
Exactly, because the reality is that you can only grow so far by yourself because you're limited in your time, your resources, right? And your skills. But the more people that I can get involved through collaboration, now all of a sudden, I don't know how to do the painting, but I know how to do the bricklaying, right? And I don't know how to lay down the concrete, but I know how to do the woodwork. And guess what? When those four people come together, I'm the general contractor. Y'all understand where I'm coming from? And so a lot of times people don't think about it in that fashion. They think about what can I do and what can I do alone, as opposed to saying, what can we do in order to move entire community?
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate that. So this goes to building strong banking relationships. Many entrepreneurs only approach a bank when they need funding. What can business owners do today to build stronger banking relationships before they need capital?
I'll start with this. It's always better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. You understand what I'm saying with that? So the reality is a lot of times people assume, and I'll take it to one of the simplest terms, right? Let's say a homeowner. Think about how many people out there have never started a relationship with a bank, and now all of a sudden they say, look, I'm ready to buy a home. Well, that bank doesn't know who you are, where your deposits are, where you work at, your credit history. They know nothing about you, and you're shaking their hand saying, hey, I want to be in a 30-year relationship with you. Y'all follow where I'm going with that? A lot of times people assume that I'm going to do everything I can do until I need what? To grow. So now I need to fill out a loan application, and that's when I go and talk to the bank. So a lot of times what I tell people is start your relationship early. You don't think that making that relationship with that teller makes a difference, but guess what? That teller sees the person that can help you get that business loan. That teller knows when your AC goes out, she knows all of the HVAC people that are coming through the door. Y'all follow me? And those relationships are valuable. So you treat them, when you sit across the desk with them, don't assume that they're just there to open a checking account. Have a conversation with them, right? Spend the time so they get an opportunity to know you, because the reality is that, and I hate to say it this way, but technology sometimes gets in the way of what? Relationships, right?
Yes.
Because it used to be you went into a business and you say, look, I'm looking for a job. Here's my resume. I would love to work. And you had an opportunity to what? Put eyes on the person. They shook your hand firm, right? You came in and you looked like you had your pants up, you had a haircut, you looked nice, you spoke like you had some sense, right? But then there was a shift. And what happened is I went and said, hey, look, I would love to work for your company. He says, great, there's a computer right over there. If you'll fill out your application, we'll get back to you. And he went home and guess what? Waiting on a phone call. And it never came. So the reality is when you start talking about why do business owners wait so long, it's because of what he said, right? It ain't until you need it. And then when you need it, he's like, oh, well, let me go. Now I got to rush and get all this stuff together. But guess what? I ain't never asked nobody to get married if I ain't date them first.
Come on now.
And that's what you're asking your bank to do. You're asking your bank to say, hey, look, I need to get a loan and I'm going to be obligated. We're going to be obligated to each other for the next 15 years. But you've never gone through the dating phase. That's a challenge for banks, right? Because although lending is an actuary process, and they may have to tell you no right now, what they're telling you is they're not denying you, they're denying the conditions. They're denying your capital, your capacity to repay, the collateral that you're trying to finance. They are telling no to your situation and not to you. The reason why, how do you overcome that? You start relationships. Let them know who you are, because your story matters just as much as your balance sheet.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody get started. Agree with that for sure.
Real quick from what he just said.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny that he talks about the bank, because it's like 3 banking tellers that have advertised my publication, and they tell people about our marketing business, and people call my phone simply because they heard it from a bank teller that worked and helped them set up their business account. So relationships are valuable.
Yeah, definitely work with the tellers. They see everybody's account. They'll tell you real quick. Just moving along that same train of thought with that advice, we appreciate that there. So just when it comes to access to capital for small businesses, maybe a little bit of a bigger question here. You work closely with chambers of commerce, small business councils, and community organizations. What separates small businesses that successfully secure funding from those who struggle to obtain it?
I think that those people who are able to have easy access to capital understood long division, right? I take you back to grade school. What do you have to do in long division, right? You got to show your work. Carry the one, move it over to the other side. A business owner who has struggles with that is trying to tell a story, but they've never shown the work. Concepts are great, right? ChatGPT can make anybody look professional nowadays, right? They can get a business plan together for you, they can do all these different things, but at the end of the day, when you fill out an application, they're looking at your borrower's profile, and they're saying, does this tell a story? Very similar to a business owner that is a sole proprietor, assumes that I'm gonna go and get business credit, but I've ignored my personal credit. You get what I'm saying? But the reality is, as a business owner, any bank has to service both sides of the balance sheet. We have to service the business and we have to service the owner. And if the owner didn't care enough to get to a 640 credit score, how can we help his business get to a better Dun & Bradstreet? Y'all follow me? Because the reality is that you are your business credit for the first 3 years of your business. Now, I will tell you, shameless plug, Truist, I think, had the formula right, because what they said was, we want to be part of your business early. Not 3 years in, not 4 years in. So guess what? You can incorporate your business last week, come in and talk with us about business credit today. Why? Because the reality is that we want every small business to become big business. And so if we start that relationship early, i.e. the dating phase, right? When it comes time to make that long-term commitment of your business capital, we then can what? Do that with a little bit more assurance. Yes, marriages do fail. But at the same time, everybody goes into it with good intention. So what I always tell people, the difference between people who have it and the people who don't is how well they're able to tell their story and support it with the loan division. You got to be able to show your work, because at the end of the day, I can't let you borrow money when you have zero revenue coming in, right? We don't lend money on hopes and dreams, right? Because at the end of the day, any financial institution, whether it's a CDFI, a commercial bank, a credit union, a hard money lender, right? At the end of the day, their job is to what? Have the ability to exist tomorrow. Which means that if I make bad deals, I go under. I get acquired, right? So what I always tell people is just make sure that you're showing your work, because that work lasts longer than what you think. It has more value than what you think.
Okay, yeah, we appreciate that. Sounds good. So just kind of going to the next question, one last question for you there. Creating strategic partnerships. A part of your role is connecting, Truist resources with public and private partners. What are the most effective ways business owners can position themselves to attract strategic partnerships and community support?
So I'll give you a couple of examples. You mentioned it kind of in the introduction. I'm part of the executive board for the Henry County Chamber of Commerce, the Clayton County Chamber of Commerce, Atlanta Black Business Chamber. I am part of the Georgia Chamber of Commerce. I'm also part of Academy of Advanced Studies, Henry County Public Schools Board. And why do you say that I need to be in these places? It's because if we're not there, they're not thinking about us. When you start talking about what you need to do in order to plug in, that's just it. Plug in. Become a member of a chamber, a business resource group. And if you see something out there and it doesn't fit the lens, create it. You have the ability to do that. And so what I always tell people is that you really have to plug in. These are incubators who are designed for the purpose of what? Uplifting, upholding, and educating, right? Business owners to plug into a system of success. And so when you are saying, I don't need to pay that fee. Well, guess what? I'm sure there's a couple of CPAs in the room. What is that fee? It's an itemized deduction. Right? All the money that you make in your business does not come from the people and the products that you sell. Some of it comes from Uncle Sam. Right. And so when you start talking about being able to invest in your business, maybe that investment means that I now have a chamber membership. It means that I'm part of the Henry Business Builders. It means that I'm part of the gig cohort in the chamber. And I'm part of connectors. These are all groups that exist under the umbrella of the chamber. And so when you start talking about being able to take those positions, one of the reasons why I sit on those boards is because I want to make sure that strategically we are driving the things that help our communities, right? I tell people all the time, I live, work, play, and pray in Henry County. I care about my business. And yes, I believe in our culture. So I always say, look, black first, but not black only. I always will give my small black businesses an opportunity. But I also know that I don't get burned more than once. And there's more than one, soul food restaurant. There's more than one, painter. More than one landscaper. More than one fence company. And so what I always try to do is this. When I find somebody that works well, I share with them the services. Listen, because the reality is that a lot of people are spending a lot of time being CEO, not spending enough time being CMO. Which is Chief Marketing Officer. Yes. I want to show up in rooms where I'm not at. And that means that I've got to create these relationships that go beyond the business that I'm doing for the day. I've got to create small incubators that are people that know that what type of work I do. So that way when they say, you know what, I'm looking for somebody that can facilitate financial education, call Charles. And I work for a company. Y'all understand where I'm going with that? And so what you got to do is you got to put people in different places, plant those seeds, right? So that way other people know what you're doing and they have an opportunity to help you grow. But the way that you do that is by plugging into networks of people who are all trying to do the same thing. Chamber has 982 members. How many of them do the similar work to what you do? That can help you, because here's the reality. If I'm a business owner and I can't take on this work from a capacity perspective, I will more than happily partner with somebody, because 50% of something is worth more than 50% of nothing. Y'all follow me? And at the end of the day, the goal is revenue. At the end of the day, the goal is for us to be able to thrive, give back to the community, change minds, impact people. And so if that's the goal, partnerships naturally exist. You just got to figure out how to make them happen for you.
All right, give them up for the great insight. I hope everybody's definitely taking the notes, and we'll talk later about connecting with these good brothers and everybody furthering along their journey and their missions. All right, so we're gonna move down to Mr. Lewis. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Okay. So as a county commissioner, what do you believe is the most important role local government should play in helping small businesses start, grow, and succeed in every county?
Most important role is, especially on the commission side, is setting the atmosphere for businesses to grow. I'll give you a perfect example. 4 years ago, right before I took office, that was right when we became a majority minority in Henry County. That's when we were 51% of the total population in Henry County. But 4 years ago, only 5% of the businesses in Henry County were minority owned. 51% of the population, 5% of the business. Today, 1 out of every 2 businesses that have started in Henry County is minority owned. That's in 4 years, because you have to have people who are willing to open the doors. And what I mean by that is anybody who is living in Henry County, it's just any county, it's not just Henry County. You have gatekeepers. A lot of times, the gatekeepers are the government.
Yes, sir.
Brother Mallett knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
The gatekeepers are the government. So one of the things, and I'm gonna speak as if we're all friends here today. I'm gonna speak very freely. So what I saw when I came in office, what I thought anyway, but what I truly saw was that even though black people were starting to get elected in Henry County, all the money still flowed to all the old white families.
Correct.
My Lord.
And so what you see now today is, I don't know, anybody who's on social media, you'll see these attacks coming to black elected officials, and people love the drama. It's like, oh, this is, look at what's going on. What most people don't realize is the attacks are actually coming from the old white families, and they're actually attacked through some of the black people.
Yes.
Paying them.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm an educator.
Boy, you gonna take up an offering today. Y'all better pass the plate.
That's why we need mentors.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm gonna go this. I hope I don't go over time because it's like I can talk all day. But the problem is now as black elected officials, we are trying to set the atmosphere for our businesses to grow and for access for black businesses. But there are families who have basically leached off this community for 100 years who don't want that to happen. The problem is they can't get elected anymore, but they still own land, they still own the businesses, and they still have access to the contracts. And so that's the problem. So I'm gonna go back, like he was over here preaching, like everybody's been preaching, but he was, Brother Moon was preaching a moment ago when he started talking about, and this is where we have problems with the black businesses, especially the small black businesses. I want my name to be the only name on this contract.
Yes, sir.
Not realizing if you can just get a piece of it,
That's it.
it's a generational change for your family. Just a piece of it. I'm gonna say some numbers. In the next 15 years, probably even a little less than that, there's $6 billion worth of just transportation infrastructure getting ready to happen in Henry County. $6 billion. Just think if you can just get a piece of it. There's not a black company that is big enough to handle all of that. But I'm gonna tell you something. My political mentor hero was Maynard Jackson. What Maynard Jackson did, it has not been really replicated anywhere in the United States. You know why it hasn't been replicated? Because it was dangerous.
Yes.
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 That's why it hasn't been replicated. So anytime anybody starts saying anything akin to what Maynard Jackson did in Atlanta,
Yeah.
30 years ago, people come, they try to shut it down.
Yeah.
Michael Thurman, even though he was unsuccessful running for governor, Michael Thurman actually has done a way of trying to replicate what Maynard Jackson did, but he had to call it something different.
Yep.
You can't call it DBE. You can't call it
DEI.
affirmative action. You can't call it DEI because those are the buzzwords where they shut it down.
Yeah.
So what he did in DeKalb County, which is what we're getting ready to try to do in Henry County, is he did what's called DeKalb First. And so it does a lot of the same things. You just don't call it that.
Right.
And so in Henry County, he made. You have to be in the room. You have to be a member of the chambers. You have to talk to your fellows who are just doing the same type of business you were doing. But at some point, we're gonna have to collaborate. Because right now, when we do contracts for the county, ain't no black people in the room bidding for those contracts. They're not even registered with the county. The first thing you got to do, you have to register with the county to do business with the county. So when we have a contract, we just built a $50+ million aquatic center. Only one black business bid for it. We just built $16 million recreation center on North Mount Carmel. No black businesses bid for it. I'm talking about just a piece of it. And the thing is, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to make it where you have to include some form of minority participation. That is our next fight. And I'm saying this in this room, knowing that sometimes there's somebody in the room who's gonna go back and tell it. But I don't care today. I'm gonna go on and say it.
Screech.
I don't care. We have to get the story out because we have to have people come and bid on this stuff. We have to have small businesses partner with each other so that they are large enough to get a piece of the pie. So even though a small business may not be big enough to handle a $80 million contract, they get together with 2 or 3 companies and they get $20 million of it. That's generational change for their families and their ecosystem. And then what do? They get big. How many people have heard of H.J. Russell? Contract. H.J. Russell started with 3 people. 3 people. Now they are a multi-billion-dollar company. Because what happened was Maynard Jackson, when they built when they started doing the international terminal for Hartsfield Jackson and everything. This is what I saw myself. That's why I made mention of it earlier when I talked about my bio. I started talking about I was on a project when they built the international terminal. So I saw it firsthand. I saw the people in the room. I saw how they started doing the procurement. There are multiple billion-dollar contracts going on right now with Hartsfield Jackson, Atlanta International Airport. That is how H.J. Russell became what they are. That is how C.D. Moody Construction became what they are because they got those airport contracts. They had to, for the white companies to get the business, they had to get minority subs. The contracts were so huge that those minority subs then became humongous entities of their own. And so right now, what I love about H.J. Russell, they have a mentorship program specifically for black businesses where they're growing, they're incubating other black businesses. But we have to do it. We can't be scared to work with each other. You know, a lot of problem in our community is, you know, I just want to be the only one. I want everybody to say my name. I want to be the CEO. Somebody opened a sanitation company today, and they're like, I'm the CEO. But what work are you doing though? We always want to be the CEO, so we can go in the club and say, yeah, you know, I'm the CEO of something. I did. So what? So what?
Straight up.
But you're the CEO.
Straight up.
I don't care what you are. Like, are you generating revenue? Are you generating revenue? Do you have relationships with people? Do you go to these conferences where people are who are making decisions? Do you go to your chamber? Do you go to your local Board of Commissioners meetings? Do you go to your local city council meetings? All too often, when I look in the room, I don't see any of us there. We won't even go out there. But the people who do come religiously, they build up their relationships over time. Then all of a sudden, you think, oh, they just came out of nowhere and they just did something. They got this contract. No, they did that for 5 years. It took them 5 years to build that up. And they weren't scared to go ask Charles, hey, do you know anybody else in my space that can help me to where we can partner? And then the last thing, I know you got some more questions, but I would say we can't be afraid to go into industries that don't sound sexy. And what I mean by that is, where is the money right now? Construction, transportation,
Plumbing.
HVAC,
Workforce development.
workforce development. With these data centers that are coming up, black electricians, any electrician, they're making $200K. They don't even have enough electricians to build all this stuff. But we want to be in the sexy and we want to, entertainment, rap videos, all this type of stuff. Like, no, that's not the side of the money. The wealthiest people I know is a black-owned firm, and they do infrastructure for pipeline and concrete laying. You've never seen them on any news, you've never seen them on anything, but they are the wealthiest black people I know. They make millions per month. Regular folks, but they're in infrastructure. So now when they, and you know what? Every time I see them, they're always in a room with some elected officials, they're always at a conference, that's where they are. And when those contracts come up, people know who they are. And once they get those contracts, they're in. But we have to be willing to do that. So your original question was like, what can the government do? To me, it is educate our folks on you have to bring in, you have to make relationships, you have to register with your boards, you have to register with these counties, all these entities, because there are billions and trillions of dollars out there that's flowing. It's just that we're not going after it. It's like we're not educated as to what is out there. We want to go to the short money and the quick, sexy stuff when there's a whole lot of long money out there. And so our job as elected officials is to set the atmosphere so that our black business can thrive. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate that, Greg. I have one question for you there.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of growth, economic growth in Henry County right now. It continues to experience significant growth. What opportunities do you see emerging for entrepreneurs, investors, and business owners over the next 5 years? I know you just kind of touched on a few of them already. Just a quick recap on that briefly, and we'll continue on.
Yeah, just a lot of it is the construction side, but just knowing what's coming, and this is why you have to pay attention. And I'm giving another free nugget. 1941, and if y'all aren't paying attention to the governor's race and things like that, you have to pay attention. First of all, I need everybody to vote. How many people know we're in the midst of a runoff election?
Yes.
How many people actually have voted? Well, I'm glad y'all raised your hand. I did, but in the primary that we just had, only 28% of people voted. So when you say 28%, that means there are a whole lot of people that you and I know who did not vote.
Right. He just told you it's 51% of the county.
51% of the county. So here's why it's important. So in 1941, over there by the Speedway, this is why this actual gubernatorial election is supremely important. So whoever the next governor is going to basically take the lead on whether or not they approve gaming in Georgia. If gaming is approved in Georgia, and I think it's going to happen, it's going to get approved. What's coming to Henry County? Casino.
Echo Park.
Echo Park.
Yeah.
Echo Park.
That wild girl getting an attack campaign right now.
Echo Park. So for casino comes to Echo Park, everybody in this room should be thinking that right now, what can I do to make money off of that? And when I was, not to say that we're gonna own the casino, but think of all the other stuff that's gonna come. They're gonna start looking for hotels. They're gonna start looking like just be real. The Indians have the run on gas stations and everything. They do, and the hotels. Most of the hotels in Henry County and gas stations are owned by Indians. We can do
Mexican restaurants now.
and the Mexican restaurants owned by Indians. Why can't we do that? Why can't we have restaurants? Why can't we do the auxiliary industries? You know what I think of when I think of casino and all that stuff is getting ready to get built? Who's gonna have to clean the contract?
Security contract.
Who's gonna have a security contract? You're talking about millions. Millions. The county right now, we spend over $250,000 a year on cleaning contracts. That's just the county. That's not including City of Hampton, City of Stockbridge, City of Locust Grove, City of McDonald. There's millions out there. Don't look at the sexy stuff. Look at the stuff that is ancillary to what is going to get built. If a casino comes, you know who else is going to make money? Transportation companies. Fleet. We're getting ready to, I know you're about to, we're getting ready to invest money in the airport. Hangar space. Mechanics for the aircraft. Shuttles, all of that stuff. Start thinking about that type of stuff. That is where the money is going to be made. Everybody in this room has an opportunity to make that money. But at some point, we got to get together and work. We got to get advice from Mr. Moon. How do we make this happen? How do I get my credit in order to make this happen? So I'm gonna stop because I really did talk.
All right. A lot of information being shared today. We want to get to Mr. Stevens because he's pretty much someone that's taking advantage of a lot of these things down the line, it seems like, and is now able to give his testimony on a lot of what he's doing right now. So you started RLS Solutions as a one-person operation and grew into a company serving major commercial and municipal clients. What were the most important decisions that helped you successfully scale that business?
I would say the first time I started as we all would. We start right at home. If you wanted to do a bakery, you start right at home. If you wanted to do lawn service, you start cutting your own grass, start making squiggly lines in it. So in pressure washing, I started at my house. Screwed up the side of my own house. I tried to shoot solution on the top of my house. That didn't work out. So trial and error, I got over doing the small things first. And it took me to screw up the side of my house first. But to get to where I wanted to be, I'd have to definitely say the one word that's taken me from screwing up the side of my house to doing the next project was that one word. It's called scale. And I got that from my wife. It meant nothing when we started RLS, but it means everything now. Because I'm telling you, it was not easy. I started with one service cleaner, one pressure washing, and I chose one guy that I knew had one hell of a work ethic. He's not here today, but I chose this guy because I saw how hard he worked on a 9 to 5. So I brought him in, and the first big thing we did was Word of Faith, the church. We did that with one service cleaner, one wand, one machine. It took us, I don't know, 2.5 weeks. That's too long to be on a job. But I was determined, and this is something that I wanted to do. This is something that I wanted to do.
Thank you.
And because I wanted to do it, and I wanted to get in that, after that 2 weeks, we was tired. But you know what? When I finished it, I said to myself, I can do anything. I didn't take that money and blow it now. I took that money, put it back into another machine. In that machine, now I have 2. Now, today, I have 7. But it all had to start somewhere. And you cannot give up. When you give up, that dream die with you. Even if it comes in hard times. We've been through a lot of hard times. We've been through a lot of hard times.
That's a hard time.
But I didn't give up. So I would say to anybody, once you start somewhere, even if you have to put it aside for a few months, maybe a year or 2, because I got this LLC in 2013. And I didn't get rid of it for the simple fact of sort of like what you're saying. Don't get rid of it because you let it die out. That dream will die with you, and it shows stability. So if you got a cooking LLC, you got a lawn service LLC, continue to pay that business license every year, because over the years that shows stability. I knew that that's what I wanted to do, so I kept it and kept paying on it, and now it's paying off.
Yeah, absolutely. All credits for that. Okay. We want any questions to the audience? 10 minutes. We got 10 minutes for questions for the audience. I did want to give Mr. Stevens one more question I think the audience would be interested in as well, just to kind of go with that and any questions there. Winning commercial and government contracts, because you were successfully able to do that, right?
Yeah.
Many small businesses struggle to break into that commercial government work. How did you earn the trust of municipalities, property managers, and HOAs? And what advice would you give those trying to get into that market?
I would say number 1, relationships, and don't be scared to partner with anybody. If you work next or you live next to somebody and you see their business prosper, go shake their hand. Because that same handshake can develop business and revenue for you. Once I started to learn how to move and how to shake hands, and like you said, go to these meetings, once you start paying that money to become in Douglas County, or you want to be in South Fulton, or you want to be in the airport, if that's your dream, chase your dream. Go to those meetings. I thought it was crazy paying $600 just to be going to a chamber meeting. And I get in the chamber meeting, they're talking about certain things. What I'm not realizing is that they're talking about things right around my house. Once I started noticing they're talking about the streets right around the corner from my house, I'm in the right space. Because all you got to do is meet and shake hands with people. And those opportunities will open up. I wanted to be in the airport. I wanted to be in the airport ever since I left a $100,000 job. I used to do roll-off at Republic Services. But I saw a vision, and this is what I wanted to do. And I wanted to do pressure washing because we don't do it. If you ever had your house pressure washed, how many black people show up to do your house?
It ain't 6.
One. I know one.
I know one.
Well, I know 2.
Yeah, I know 2. They come by themselves.
There you go.
So we appreciate that. I'm sorry.
But getting in that space of government contracts and dealing with the airport and stuff like that, it's not easy. You're going to lose a lot of sleep. You're going to have a door closed in your face 1 out of 10 times, or 10 out of... It's going to be a lot of challenges. They require a lot. They require a lot of license, a lot of insurance. You cannot let that deter you. Set your mindset, not just to cook in the oven, not just to cut your own grass. Have a mindset to clean Hartsfield-Jackson. And when you get that, that's when things will start opening up for you.
Don't pay the dream cheap.
You cannot. Because you will always still be behind the gun. You'll always continue to, I want to do this, I want to do that. Go to where they at. Go to where they at. And not just do it yourself. Tell the neighbor, tell your sons to do it too.
You guys mentioned something that I agree with, right? Like we're noticing, us as African Americans, we're not getting together, we're not collaborating like we should. Like, what would you say is one of the main reasons why it's not happening, so that we can figure out what we can do better to fix that? Why we're not collaborating, why we're not networking as much as we should, or trusting each other in that way?
I would say mainly trust. We were always born and raised to trust yourself. So as we get up and we grow up into men and we become men and we start our own businesses, we still only trust ourselves. So you have to see you have to get out there and see what another person is doing, and then you can say, you know what, I like your work ethic. Come here, let me talk to you. That's how that's how I build trust in the 10 guys that work with me. I trust them because I know that they're gonna get out there and do it. If I don't trust you, if I don't feel like you're gonna sit here and listen to what I got to say, I'm wasting my time. So I'll continue to talk to you, but I'm not gonna say it twice. So, number 1, trust. Number 2, believe in yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, you can't branch out to spread what you got to trust anybody else.
All right, we'll start with Mr. Lewis.
Oh, another question.
I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
This goes to the councilman. I have a question because I know you said to register with the county and that you will have contracts. Is the primary contracts that you will offer mainly on construction, cleaning, security, these kind of roles? Because a lot of business owners that I've seen in our demographics, they tend to be more related to recreation or leisure, or the business types are evolving from just basic needs of the constituents of the county. So is there opportunities in these contracts that allow for companies like myself who offer athletics for kids a contract to do business with the county?
Absolutely. So one of our biggest entities that does contract our Parks and Rec department. So they have contracts with the athletic. You work for Extension. So the athletic associations, all of their contracts. The food trucks. We put out a contract for food trucks for the aquatic center. It's about to open up. So I know somebody who has a food truck, so I called her. I said, you need this. And she said, I already know. And that's how her and her husband started out. They started out with a food truck. Now they have 2 brick and mortar, and now they're buying another food truck. But they have food trucks. There's a contract with Northbound Carmel Recreation Center for the smoothie bar and stuff. So there are so many different things, but you literally once you register with the county, and here's the thing, most of the procurement stuff will actually get shot to you. So you don't have to actually just go and investigate. You can go on the website and see everything that's there, but once you register, like the county, all these municipalities, most of when a new contract is up for bid, most of it's going to actually just come to you, so you can, But relationships, you want to know about it before it hits the street.
Let me squeeze one more and get it back because he had one. Go ahead, one more question.
Johnny with Atlanta Father Association as well as Aging Solutions. So I'm a licensed mental health clinician, and I provide service in a private practice. So I guess I consider myself a small business. But I think what happens, especially in health, the space of mental health, I think it's undeniable that it's something that we need, especially as men, especially as families, especially as Black people. But when it comes to us as clinicians, I feel like we kind of get pigeonholed in how that's viewed, where either the only way we can thrive is in, dealing with insurances or nonprofit organizations. But you hear about possible other contracts for things that provide mental health services or therapeutic mentorship or family-based services, especially when it comes to serving our communities. Because the quandary within the industry is that either you only service people to where you can't make a profit, be successful in that regard, or you have to do something nonprofit. So I think sometimes lack of information of how I, as a clinician, could expand beyond just the stereotypical ways of providing a service to where I would want to get a contract so I can provide the service to our people at a low rate. I, as a business owner, can sustain for myself and my family and give it to the people who actually deserve it. Because what tends to happen is there's a lot of, I guess, red tape and blockages when it comes to us actually getting services for the people that look like us, or for us as the clinicians to actually do well within the industry. So where would you suggest someone like a mental health clinician to leverage some of the things that you guys all mentioned, where I can also provide a service in that regard and still be a successful business owner as well?
I think that personally, the biggest space from a mental health perspective is employers, right? Think about the fact that how many small business owners have their own HR department? Well, mental health is part of HR, believe it or not. And so when I think about businesses like Elevate Med, which is an organization out of Morehouse, or when I think about Elevated HR, which is right here in Henry County, I think about how they look for those as opportunities to not just write the policy, but then to support the people who have to execute on the policy. And so a lot of times when you start talking about being able to get into those rooms, that's a great opportunity to do it, because you have small business owners who can't afford to go out there and get the full robust thing. How about a contract with them? Because they issue contracts too, right? Especially for the people that have these very stressful jobs. Perhaps the sheriff's office is a great opportunity for you to start with, right? The police department, getting involved in that field, because now you're in your community servicing those people. Your EMSs, your fire departments, all of these different opportunities do exist. There are contracts out there for them too. It just really is about knowing that they're out there and knowing how to plug yourself in. Again, it's one of those things where you got to be in a room, you got to know who's asking, and they've got to be looking for something, but how do you market that? The first thing I hear about is that I consider myself to be a small business. No, I am. Because either you are or you're not, right? You don't got to think about it. So if you're a small business, I'm going to market myself as a small business that's going to be able to help you and help your employees, help your network from a mental health perspective. There are contracts out there for all of that. And I can guarantee you, they're looking for you because you look like the people that they serve.
Okay. Let's give it all up for this. Where everybody can network and connect with all of us. We need to do that together. Absolutely.
Hey, give it up, give it up.